Hey there guys, it's Nolan and Jason here for HVAC Webmasters.
Howdy.
We've got a really good one today called HVAC SEO Conference 2020. Every year we go to a really large regional SEO conference, and basically we're...
Just last week?
Yeah, last week. This is all fresh stuff. We're going to go over 5 main points that are each will have multi amounts of information in them, and it's the stuff that's relevant for HVAC out of that SEO conference. So this is a really nicely done little 5-point deal. I guess we'll start out with the popularity increase in GMB.
Yeah.
So
that was a big subject across multiple workshops that touched on. Some of them were all about GMB, but almost everything touched on GMB.
Half of the stuff. So number one category here for this, our number one topic is GMB popularity. GMB, aka Google My Business, aka you may know as your map, aka knowledge graph. So you know what it is. It's where you show up on the map, and Google keeps adding to it, like adding little videos or questions or links to media, right?
Yeah, a few years ago it was just your basic information, name, address, phone number, maybe your logo, and then they started adding more stuff you could do. You could add FAQs. You can add questions and answers. Other people logged into Google can ask a question of your company, so your potential customers can actually reach out to you.
They can interface with you
directly through your GMB without filling out a form or an email or anything else.
Yeah, and you don't
they can essentially send you a message.
It's pretty cool too, and you can get a push notification straight from Google because you already signed up.
Right.
Right. So it's already plugged into your phone that way. I mean, this isn't just that GMB is popular. It's to tell you that there should begin to become some more interaction with a company and the GMB. We obviously help with all this stuff and help with these details. This interaction, reviews, and action on GMB will actually play a part in increase in ranking of your map.
Right. At this point, I would consider GMB your most important third-party
item
action.
Right.
For SEO and just digital marketing in general.
Right. Yeah.
It's like you build your own website, you do good on that, and then you tend your GMB, and those are your 2 most important things.
Website, GMB with reviews to glue it together, and we're going to talk to all of it, right?
There you go.
So I don't know how much I want to go into GMB. I guess it obviously needs to be supported and looked at slightly differently. Talking about it for HVAC SEO Conference 2020, it's really to say, hey, begin to view this as more of an active component instead of something stagnant or something that just gets a review placed on it.
Yeah,
right?
It's not just a listing anymore.
Right.
It is an active interface between you and your potential customer base.
It's completely optimizable and legitimately, can be raised in rankings from helping and doing everything you can. We're here to do a lot of that for our clients. I was going to say something else that came in and out of my head. If I remember, I may come back to it. I don't know how much time I want to spend on the GMB, but because we're going to talk about reviews related to it.
Right.
I do kind of want to bring up brand here, actually. Okay. So I'm going to stay under category 1, and I want to talk about GMB. It's something that I've been talking about a little bit recently, really because it came up. Actually, that client had called yesterday. That was the reason I brought this up under several podcasts, who had a city in their name. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They have
the name was city and basic keyword for
heating and air.
Yeah.
City, heating, and air. And the reason I'm bringing it up with the GMB is it's really difficult for Google to understand who you are, which basically occurs through GMB. So it's difficult for them to know what's going on if there's confusion in the name. And we've talked about this multiple times now, but if your name is the city and that, or there's multiple people named this. I actually talked to a guy that is supposed to sign up today that's local, and he uses an acronym of 3 local cities, which you can, there's only 3, that only happens once.
I'm pretty sure I know which one
in Tarrant County.
About, yeah.
So he uses an acronym of 3 local cities followed with, this is a plumber, with plumbing, somebody came in after him, and he did the three-letter acronym plumbing, and that's his company name. Someone came in after him and did plumbing and something else. And the state won't change it.
No.
They're more aggressive on marketing than he is. He called an attorney, but heard the wishy-washy thing about trademark dispute and decided not to go down that expensive road.
Yeah.
The crazy business owner that came in literally like 7-8 years later after he'd already had a website up, Facebook, Twitter, all properties online with his name, threatening to take it. So he's dealing with all that, and then Google's confused now.
Right.
And it's a really bad situation for him. He calls me and he's like, so we can strengthen the brand. When you typed in the name, the other company's organic listing came up first. But his GMB wins. So they're confused.
Yeah.
And it's an unfortunate true client story.
Maybe
yeah.
we can help.
Yeah,
but it's hard.
We can probably help him, but he's got a funky situation.
Yeah.
It's a DBA, because I asked that. I was hoping to get INC or LLC after it to differentiate.
Yeah.
Can't.
Because that would actually clarify it.
That would clarify.
Because that would make it a
what
business.
We're talking about is a true client story that's, he's not a client yet, but I think he will be. And he's got this situation basically that makes it difficult for Google to tell who he is. Now this is an extreme case, but you could have a name, and if you have a name that is similar to other ones anywhere in your region, don't worry about somebody, listen, I'm going to disclaimer, don't worry. Things always change on Google. But
not legal advice.
Not legal advice. But
marketing advice, not legal
for
advice.
right now, Google seems to be okay if an HVAC company in one state is similar to another state, because they know that one guy is this name over here and another guy's this name over here.
Right.
But if you've got two people in the same region or drivable area with a similar name, it's going to be confusing for them, and they can't figure out who you are. And so that they read your name and it's convoluted, you won't get the credit that you should get and deserve from your name. They'll just kind of ignore it, or it'll mess up your ability to optimize. And so if you can add LLC or something like that to distinguish it, you might do that. I wouldn't do that without some professional advice like the webmasters, because if things are going well, you pick and choose your battles. But to differentiate the name is important for your GMB account, to make sure they understand who your brand is.
Yeah. If Google gets confused, bad things can happen. We had a client year before last who he had a name somewhat similar to a rival that was just down the road from him.
Yeah.
And because the names were similar and the locations were within like a quarter mile, the Google got confused, and they took his 77 good reviews and stuck them on the other company's GMB.
Wow.
And the other company recognized the opportunity, went into those reviews, and responded to them.
Oh my gosh!
To his customers, like, "Oh, we're so glad you were of service." And yeah, it was horrible.
I don't remember hearing that exact part of it. Maybe.
Yeah, they did that, and it took 8 months.
They got them back
to get moved back over.
What happened to the comments?
The comments came down, I believe, but I mean they were all good comments. They didn't come in and they just like said thank you and stuff like that. But it was a pretty shitty thing to do. But yeah, it took months to finally convince Google, no, this guy is not that guy. They're different. Yes, it's close by, but it's a different building. It's a different address. And yeah, if they get confused, it's bad.
I want to say something else about the GMB account. So it goes without saying, at least we know that it's not one thing that makes a GMB pop up. You've got to have things being done properly. The brand to be differentiated and understood is important. A lot of people have had trouble with this brand issue, but you've got to have your Google account worked on. You need stuff done. You need changes in there. You need Google map postings. You need all sorts of things. You need reviews. You need integration. The GMB is tied in, forever through content in the website. It won't pop up as well without page content in the website. They won't assume that you do certain things. So all of this interplay is important, and brand itself and being specific, and this ties into citations and other stuff. Second topic, we're going to move to Basics Plus. And I think Basics Plus is what we called it, but it needs to be, it's like high-end basics, like excellence of expectation from Google.
Yeah.
This
is actually Google's base expectation of what you should do for them to take you seriously.
Yeah. So I guess sometime this year, I noticed that I quit talking about, yes, we have SSL certificates. Yes, we have mobile-ready sites. Yes, we do code base. And I did still say custom design, custom code base, because I find it important, because most people buy cruddy templates and they don't work well. So when we talk about Basics Plus, we're talking about like really high-end skill set stuff so you can get that base level high grade that you need. A couple of the announcers at the SEO conference said, look, guys, this is assuming you already have the basics done.
All of this stuff you should have, we're not even going to talk about it.
So we're going to talk about it a little bit, because it's not to be scoffed, because if you have a crappy template, which you almost assuredly do, and almost no content, site never gets worked on, poor quality code base, nobody working in GMB, that is a poor quality base level. And it's very difficult to take your poor quality junk and slap on good GMB work or good content or good reviews and expect it to operate as well. And people call it and go, why don't I show up as well? Because your site's complete crap.
Yeah. All of this basic stuff, this is the foundation. If the foundation is bad, the house falls over.
Yeah. So the basics are custom design, 100 pieces of custom schema, which we'll talk about in just a minute, I believe, right? Yep.
Yes.
Schema in just a little bit. Regular work, blogging, work in GMB map postings, properly integrated reputation management. These are high quality Basics Plus stuff, right? If you try to take a basic template that's poor quality basic, not done well, doesn't have code base in it, has junk code base, and you add good content to it, if somebody else has a better quality one, they'll get a better grade and do better in search rankings. So you can't have poor quality foundation and expect this other stuff to work. So there's an expectation level nowadays, because competition is fierce online to show up. And when we talk about the word SEO, we're talking about organic here. This is the ability to show up on your organic keyword terms. It's the ability to show up on your map placement, and it's integration of reviews. Those are the things that we consider organic, the things that you don't have to pay for to get response from off of
pay-per-click.
Google. Yeah, pay-per-click or
you still have to pay some
paid social, stuff like that. Okay, so Basics Plus, you get the point. It's really important. If you didn't have high quality work and you're trying to work this from a basic template website that didn't have good code base on it and content, it wouldn't optimize as well. If you didn't have pages in there, you wouldn't even show up for the keywords. So the basics are a necessary item, but the stuff that you normally get done that people tout, like citations and content and blogging, it's expected.
It's all got to be there.
It's expected. Yeah. Let's move on to number 3, and we're going to talk about content again. I'm going to take a break and let you talk about content.
Content might have been, if you talked to us, and actually if you, like at the conference last year, just as a for instance, nobody talked about content. In fact, one guy did a similar thing where he said, you should have all this stuff, we're not going to talk about it, and he had rolled content into that.
Yeah.
Because the expectation is that everybody's already doing this, but content, because of changes in the Google search algorithm, content has actually risen in importance again. Not that it was ever unimportant, but it had become baseline, but now it's a more skilled part of the process.
I said this earlier, but like content went from, or in a different podcast, but content went from like keyword stuffing, something like HVAC or air conditioning repair company, and the city you're in, air conditioning repair, Dallas, like at a 3.5 saturation point to content. So you had 300 words, and that phrase is in there like 9 times.
Right,
or whatever that is. And so stuffing stuff in there really clunkily, and it reads bad, but you had to, because that's how the algorithm worked. And then they went on and you're like, you put it in your title, you put it in your H1 tag, you duplicate it, and then Google's algorithm got better and said, yeah, we're going to penalize that because it doesn't read like natural writing would read. And really people who search Google don't want to read that gobbledygook stuff. And they got more advanced, and you reduced that. You took it out of the H1 tag. You took it down to 1.25% and added a little bit more content to it, right?
Right.
And then about 2 years ago, they came up with something called latent semantic indexing, and you just basically were able to interchange other words. Instead of air conditioner repair, it was AC service.
Yeah.
Or
LSI, or latent semantic indexing, is basically synonyms.
Yeah.
Synonymous phrases or words.
Allows you to, talk in a more natural tone, but still kind of contrived. And now lately they've gone to something called entity. And what's essentially happening is that it's getting more natural looking, but you still have to know how to write for the algorithm. Google would love it, and it'll happen someday to where you can just write naturally, high quality writing, and you don't have to put the keywords in there. You still have to do it, but it's got to look ever so smooth so that somebody reading it doesn't feel like they're reading something that was optimized for the internet.
Yeah, Google recently had a major algorithm update that's being referred to, Google calls it BERT.
Yeah.
And it was the first big step on what they call NLP, or natural language processing. You notice there's always a 3-letter thing for something that's actually really simple, like LSI. It's synonyms.
Right.
NLP is natural language processing, or speaking like a person.
Right.
And it's important to remember that Google it keeps telling us, write for people, don't write for the algorithm. But they don't have full NLP yet. They've taken the first step toward it. So we're actually in a weird limbo where we write for people, but we also kind of write for the algorithm.
Yeah, we write for the algorithm less, but we're aware of the rules. We're aware of what needs to be changed. And you can't just have simplistic content. In fact, the content's got to be pretty highbrow stuff nowadays.
Right.
And I'll talk about content a little bit more. Guys, remember, if you don't have pages for RUD or train or AC or furnace or boiler or HVAC parts that you want to replace or whatever it is, you won't show up for that keyword term. That page content written well and coded well is the basis for you to show up on your organic keyword terms. It's the basis even for the map to show up. The map will not show up nearly as much if it's not coded through the website. So content is extremely important. It just never has not been important. People not telling you that they don't need this is ridiculous. This is HVAC SEO Conference. We're talking about all things organic to show up on organic keyword search, map placement, review integration. And it is still the least expensive thing you can do online. 75% of people go past the paid ads and go straight to the organic mapping, the organic listings of your website, and they click around in there, and that is where the majority of the searches occur still to this day.
Right.
So the industry doesn't talk about it as much anymore because there's massive entities that just want to get your pay-per-click dollars, have you pay them one lump sum fee, and then strip as much as they want off, and it's kind of a cloudy situation that you can't tell what's going on.
They try to get you enough clicks to keep you happy, not necessarily as many clicks as your money could buy.
Yeah. I would argue that the majority of the time we see this when people have non-transparent billing and an integrative SEO PPC campaign together, that much less than 50% of their money is going towards the PPC because of the way you allowed them to bill you. Kind of like a used car salesperson, how much can you afford? But I only bring it up.
A problem, sir.
Is it? Oh my goodness, yeah. But yeah, so you're going to want to. You want your organic, man. You just do. You want your organic. It's still
best return on the dollar. Period.
Number 4 category is schema. It was a bit of chatter last year, although we'd already been doing it for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Last year, we went to a couple of different workshops. They were mostly talking about schema as it related to reviews. Mm-hmm. And Nolan and I sat at the back of the room looking very smug. I mean, seriously, sitting there like, because we'd literally been doing everything they were talking about for 2 years. This year, there was a lot more talk about schema and structured data. There was actually someone there who knew more than me, and I went to every workshop she did and learned a bunch. And but it's actually exploding the number of things that you can put into structured data, the number of things you can describe. Schema is basically a way of taking your data, your content, and putting it within a structure so that Google understands it better.
Can you explain to them why that's better on a custom design? We're talking about basics plus at high quality here, by the way. This is one of the reasons.
Right.
Why do they care that they have a pretty but cruddy template with almost no schema when we do one with over 100 points of schema? What does it mean to the algorithm when Google looks at it, and why do they care?
Yeah. If you just got a template, you don't have schema, and you don't have all this data organized and structured in a way that Google likes and easily understands, it's more difficult for Google to understand what they're looking at. They don't understand what is the point of this page.
They have to guess.
Yeah, they have to guess. They look at your title tag and they look at stuff like that, and then they're reading the content and they're like, well, we think it should show up for these things. We think this is what they want this to be about.
We think this is the logo. We think this is their category. We think this is
your
the location.
Category and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And with schema, we define it in this particular code structure that Google is actually one of the people that helped develop, so they like it.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things that they'll actually tell us, hey, we prefer to see it like this. And whenever Google tells us something, because they don't tell us much, so when they tell us something like that, we kind of pay attention. And it basically takes all your data, all your content, and structures it in such a way that Google knows exactly what they're looking at. And there's no guesswork, and there's no confusion. And this is my, legal company name, which means that's the brand, which we've talked about the brand as the entity.
Right.
And this is my address, and this is my phone number, this is my logo, and this is me, and this is the category.
We're an
I work
HVAC company.
And these are the services I provide. Yeah. And oh, by the way, this is a service I provide. Here's a description of the service, and here is a link to a page about that service. You can put all of that into schema in a certain structure that leads them down the path you want them to run down, and it gives them this very nicely laid out, nested view of what you're all about.
I would say, and I'd ask you, do you believe it's safe to say that within the world of HVAC digital marketing and HVAC SEO, is there anyone that does more schema than we do?
Absolutely not. I mean, I've never seen anybody with more than the basics.
I'm proud of this one because we actually did this probably before the algorithm even gave credit for it. We were so new to it.
Yeah.
In fact, at one time we sat around
We
wondering.
actually worked it out, and about 6 months later, Google finally officially said, yes, we look at schema.
Yeah. I believe I was talking about this with one of the smart guys I talked to here. And we were talking about the recent algorithm update and believe we were benefited finally from some of this high-end work that we do.
Yeah.
Because we had some pretty major increases on the last algorithm update. Not the burp, but the one that happened.
The one just previous.
The one just after that they didn't talk about. But it was a major change, and a lot of people got pretty hammered.
There was another one last week.
Yeah, that's the one we're talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. A lot of people got hit bad on that.
Yes.
Down, and we did not.
Not only did we not get hit, all of our sites did better.
Yeah.
So some of this stuff gets so detailed that I think that sometimes we're ahead of well, I don't know that we're ahead of the algorithm. It's just that Google's decided not to give credit for it yet because nobody's doing it. And I'm proud of this one on schema because we've spent countless hours on it. There just isn't anybody better than us at it. And it's a direct benefit to the clients. Why you care is because this is the sort of stuff that's golden when it comes to helping you show up in search rankings. It's such a competitive landscape for HVAC companies that this is the sort of stuff that gives you the edge,
Right.
Helps you show up, and it is incredibly lucrative to show up in as many keywords as you can organically and on mapping and everything else, and schema helps with that immensely. Number 5, we're going to go over reviews and stuff. The last category, it's a heavy hitter.
Yeah. It's the reason it's on the end.
You want to go into it first?
Reviews you said it really well earlier. You said that the website and the GMB,
the glue,
and reviews is the glue that holds it together. Yeah. And that's great because there's the stuff we talk about in content, EAT, expertise, authority, trust, And the T in EAT, the trust, is largely conferred via reviews. Reviews are very important. Google has actually recently, in one of their rare times of telling us something very directly, said that the number of reviews and the rating of the review is a big factor in your overall ranking and your overall exposure. So that should tell you everything you need to know right there. You need to be getting as many reviews as you can. If you're signed up with the Webmasters, we have a wonderful review platform that we're on called Righteous Reviews that is absolutely amazing, and it takes reviews to the next level.
I'll go over it real quick.
Sticks them on steroids, the whole bit.
I say this so much when I talk about it with people. So Righteous Reviews is important because of all that it does and it integrates with. And the reason it's special and different is because since we integrate it here and you have a skillful, conscientious web team that does this for you, we have this thought out process of GMB, page content, and then Righteous Review shortcode goes on your service pages and your city pages. And it's a web app that when you leave the house, you say, hey, please leave us a review. We sure would love to have a review on Google or wherever you want to leave us one. And then you go to your truck, your van, and before you leave, you took a picture of, let's say, the AC repair in Springfield, Illinois, and you tagged your AC repair page, you tagged your Springfield page, you took a picture of the AC repair, and you captioned it, just did an AC repair in Springfield, IL, and you put the client's cell phone and email number, cell phone and email down, and when you hit send, it's going to automatically text the client, direct links to your Google review, Yelp review, BBB review, Facebook review, so they can leave where they want to. It's also going to email them those links. And then at the same time, the custom photo that you took, which Google views as unique custom content, custom photos are valuable.
Very.
It has a caption underneath it, which is custom content you wrote that's unique.
That if you're careful is keyword relevant.
And it has a geocode that is wrapped in schema that's called check-in. And they can tell, and because you did it with your phone sitting there, and it'll put a red pin drop on a map within 2 blocks of where you were. And so now all of a sudden, you have this well-built website that is basics at a high level with extra special stuff being done on code base and GMB and content and integration of Righteous Reviews and other things. And now you're adding content regularly to these city pages and service pages, and it will help everything. It increases your EAT, your expertise, authority, and trust. It's unique custom content on your city and service pages. It is something that other people in your market are highly, highly unlikely to have.
Right.
Let's say that you do 200 service calls, which is not that many.
Not really. No.
For an HVAC company, you could do 1,000. We signed up a client this week that does 1,500 to 2,000 per year. And by the way, so this client, let's just use 1,000 for easy numbers, because I was talking to them about Righteous Reviews.
Yeah.
I said, look, do you want to get down there in a competitive market? I said, if you want to see city pages show up, because a lot of HVAC companies are going to have a city page, and a city page, in case you don't know, is a page about that city to help you optimize. So somebody next to Springfield and Oakwood or wherever, you have a page for Oakwood, and Oakwood, the page goes for AC repair, heater repair, and through Schema Code ties in your other services.
Right.
And somebody types in AC repair Oakwood IL, then you have the opportunity organically for that page to show up. If you didn't have the page of content, you wouldn't have the opportunity. But there's a lot of HVAC marketers that are savvy around you, companies. They have Oakwood pages too, and they have 20 other city pages, and they have AC repair pages and all sorts of other service pages, right? But now your page is getting check-ins, photos, captions regularly on the Oakwood page, on the services page. This is extremely, extremely dynamic, and their site will look essentially stagnant to Google compared to yours, even if it's got some high-end finish out.
Right.
The company that we signed up this week that's HVAC out of Phoenix area, they do 1,000. They're going to get a caption, a picture, a check-in on each city and service page they're aggressive marketers. They already had 100 reviews. They have 2 locations. On one had 100, one had in the teens.
Right.
They are going to all of a sudden have 6,000 changes to the website. That doesn't count the reviews that come back.
Right.
6,000.
Yeah, that's just the check-in.
So let's say that if you asked them nicely, you got 1 out of 10 people leave a review. Now with righteous reviews, they get emails and text, direct links to your Google review, Yelp, BBB, whatever. Now 1 out of 5 might leave a review. And in the olden days, like before righteous reviews, like 60 days ago, the olden days, then 80% of them was like, oh, that sucks. I didn't get a review. Well, no, it doesn't suck now because you got a picture, a caption, and a check-in.
You've got the check-in even if you didn't get a review.
Every single client, it takes all of 2 minutes to do this from the truck.
Right.
Should require everybody to do it.
Yeah, everybody working, if everybody working for you does this,
It's
like
going
you
to
said,
blow
600.
them out of the water.
And our
with that.
6,000?
I can't
Yeah.
wait to see 6,000 go up.
And here's what happens is every
Yeah.
month or 2 weeks or however often they're doing it, Google re-spiders the site and looks at it. And they've got this service page and they got the city page and they see all these things pop up. And every one of them has check-in schema. So Google reads that and says, oh, that means a service provider was at that location. There's the geolocation.
Yeah.
The caption mentions replacing an air conditioner.
Right.
And oh, there's a picture, and that's a unique picture that has never been seen anywhere on the.
Could be. It could be indoor air quality. It could
Yeah.
be. It could be.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Whole house air filtration. It could be something off the wall where some mother was concerned about her kid, who'd been going to the hospital for, respiratory issues, and then somebody else gets on in the same town and looks for the same thing.
Right.
Google's got this page that's kind of obscure, but a really good lead for the client.
Right.
For our client.
And the really cool thing is, it's over on the service page. You've got every time you've checked in to perform that service, there's a check-in with the location. And then over here on this location page, the city page, you've got every check-in in that city for whatever service. And that ties all the services and the locations together.
And our schema ordered list boxes.
And the schema ordered list boxes, which go to the city. It reinforces everything.
Can't wait.
And Google looks at your GMB and says, "Yep, they performed that service, and yep, that's their geographic area. Yep, and they were 2 blocks away 3 days ago, and that just builds and builds and builds, and over time, that's just supercharged."
Question is, do you want to only? So I'm just an example. If you're in Springfield, do you only service Springfield? Do you only want to show up there? Do you want to be relegated by your GMB account solely? Or would you like to show up organically as much as possible for still 50% of the people click off organic? So, and how are you going to differentiate yourself from 50 other people that have city pages? And then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, I have a city page with 350 words on it. It optimizes for AC repair and heater repair, furnace repair, but I really want to show up for my brands, other parts, air quality, mini duct splits, whatever. And we have all of that linked out with little schema ordered list boxes, but it's not quite as relevant because it's not the whole website.
Right.
But now, mini duct split review comes up.
Right.
Mini duct split picture of one.
Picture, caption,
check-in.
In the code where you can't really see it, but it's there.
You start to see
the map with a pin.
Some of this is pretty new that we've integrated.
Right.
But the people that are putting this in are seeing city pages pop up all over the place.
Yeah, like crazy.
If you're Google and you're judging you, who should we show on this service? We've got a 400-word page here done pretty well with Basics Plus, done well. Got a 400-word page here with Basics Plus done well. But this guy, holy cow, he's got 8 custom photos. He's been going there regularly with captions and these city pages and all that. Which page do you choose? It's a no-brainer scenario from Google's because it's custom content.
And if you do all these check-ins, you do all these jobs, and you ask for a review every time.
Yeah.
I mean, how many reviews does that end up being?
I mean, if this guy does 1,000 of them, he's going to get, he's going to get 200 reviews. He's only got 120 right now total.
Right.
So his reviews will
He's going to almost triple his reviews after 1 year.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, over 300 reviews for a local HVAC guy is pretty amazing. Frankly.
Pretty good. That's Curb Your Enthusiasm. You ever watch that?
Like once.
Like once. It's fantastic, man. But anyway, yeah, so reviews are like vital. They keep getting more important. And you can take reviews, and people go, well, I'm an expert at reviews. I get them already. You can take reviews and set them into reputation management, set them into client-assisted SEO, right? Mm-hmm. On fire. Stuff that you couldn't even pay a web company to do. I mean, how much would it cost if you were to pay a web company for hundreds, if not thousands, of changes to your website on a yearly basis?
Yeah, that would be crazy. Yeah. The rate, what you would have to pay us to actually make these changes. Instead, we've got a platform that we're on that helps it happen.
We still have to do a lot of stuff, but this client-assisted stuff here is so valuable and so dynamic and so integrated that you are going to have a serious competitive edge. And I don't see this not being a competitive edge for years. I think it'll take 3 to 4 years. And if you want to get aggressive and be serious, this is the only thing that we say you must participate in.
Right.
You don't have to do anything else.
We can't come to your job site and check in for you. You have to do this small thing.
Yeah. It's good stuff. From the standpoint of, again, SEO being the organic item, and when you talk about search engine optimization, it refers to stuff that shows up without having to pay for it, without having to pay for a lead or a click. You pay a web company to help you with this stuff, but it's a lot less expensive than other forms of payment for business.
Right.
Because you show up in a category where still 75% of people show up. I have this conversation, by the way, with people all the time. I had it just the other day with somebody, and they're like, really? People are going to organic? That's exactly opposite of what everyone's telling me. And I actually got this guy signed up. He was out of, it's a plumber out of California, came in this week. And I'd spoken to him before. And a lot of these people, I just told you this on a different podcast, people feel that, they're being lied to. And I said, well, that's pretty astute because...
That's because you are.
Yeah, you've got a lot of bad people telling you stuff in SEO. But my point with this guy, he was like, God, is that really, that's the total opposite.
Yeah.
And I said, well, 75% of people still click on organic. I said, if you don't believe me, go Google statistics on it.
Yeah.
And listen to somebody else.
Yeah, this isn't something we made up in our office. We got it from some other trusted source.
And I said, well, okay, so you believe that it's not a big deal? He said, yeah, people told me to focus all my money on PPC. And I said, well, okay, so, sir, I don't want to mention his name because he's a client now. I said,
Bob.
Yeah, I said, okay, Bob, so do you click on the paid? Because I always do this.
That's what I always say. I always say the same
and
thing. When's
like,
the last time you clicked
well,
on
no,
one?
but. And I said, no buts. I do this all the time. And I said, every once in a while you click on paid? He said, yeah. I said, most of the time you click on organic and mapping. And he said, yeah. I said, so does everybody else. I said, I asked this question because this really hits home. No one that I've ever had respond to me like that I asked the question ever said that they only clicked on paid. So why would you think that the whole rest of the world clicks on paid?
Right.
And so I said, look, Bob, they're telling you that because they want your money. Pay-per-clicks automated. By the way, on paper
and lucrative for the person running it.
I said, we're an ads partner. We love it. A lot of people use it.
And it is effective.
And it's effective. It's not as good of a return as organic because of the numbers. It's
right.
You got 3 or 4 times more clicks going on organic. And so we're talking about it, and I said, look, and he's like, well, how much do you charge for, I don't want to get prices out because I don't know if everything changes.
It'll change next week.
Yeah. No, our prices are pretty stable, but I still don't want them being higher. But anyway, he was telling me the price that they're, man, were they charged. There's this new trend, and we're going to have to bring it up. Because the amount, I heard this on a few people charging for pay-per-click the other day, and we talked about it a little bit before, but the lowest one he found was $1,500 for PPC management.
For just the management, not counting his ad spend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, I talk about this right here because we're talking about organic, and the industry's moved to this cumulative set where you bundle your SEO and your other management like mapping and reviews, which we all do under our SEO. but they'll do the shell trick and pull all these pieces out, and then they add pay-per-click, and they make it sound like it's just so difficult and so effective, and they funnel it, and there's just going to be landing pages and all this stuff, right? And they have this corporate jargon that you're like, oh gosh, man, wow,
That's slick.
that's
their
good.
stuff.
And then they ask you, well, what are you spending now? Well, I'm paying this lead company this, and I do this, and I do that. And it's like, look, you need to be over here doing this. Let's take your 4,000, 5,000, which, by the way, our SEO, we have stuff still to this day for much less than 1,000, still to this day. Anyway, they'll take it and bundle it, and then you won't know where your money went.
Right.
Now, the ones that
Because you play
fat.
It is fat.
It's a fat, flat fee.
My mouth doesn't always work right now. A flat, one large fee to them, and then they break it up however they see fit.
Yeah, they take a little for this, a little for that, and you're lucky if $1,000 gets spent on your PPC, and you should have had like $3,000 spent on it, or $2,500 or something, with SEO, with mapping, with reviews, and everything else, and all your money just goes poof. Now, the ones that we're telling him, we're charging like $1,500, $2,000, $3,000.
And those are the honest ones.
Those are the honest ones. The other ones hide it or give you third-party reporting and up the price of the click.
Yeah. And the thing is, what they'll do is they'll give you like a minimum number of clicks that they think you're going to be happy at, and they'll keep the rest. And if you call and say, hey, this isn't working, they'll say, well, let's try something else, and they'll give you
and
a
they spend a little
song
more.
and dance. And then, what they actually do is they say up his spend.
Up his spend
and the next month, and your cost doesn't go up because they've already got your chunk, your check every month.
Yeah.
And they up it a little bit, and they dial it in until they figure out the level that you're going to be happy.
It's worse than what Jason's saying too, and we're not exaggerating this at all, because I have tons. It's worse than that because they won't do hardly anything on SEO. But let's say that you work your butt off and start getting some reviews, and you do start getting some GMB activity. They're watching all of your organic activity.
Right.
And then they do dial back even further based upon the organic activity, which they didn't hardly help with anyway.
Yeah.
And
so if your organic ever does get going, they will pull back because they know exactly, because they will figure out exactly how much they got to get you on a given
We've
day.
hired people internally that work for these companies, is how we know part of this. And the other part of it is just from years of talking to people and said, well, Bob, I don't, damnedest thing happens when I call my company and I complain the leads go up. And then a few weeks later or a month, they'll go back down. And I don't know what they do. I think they tweak the website or something. And I'll say, well, wait a minute, are you paying for clicks too? Yeah, I think they're doing some of that. I said, do you think it's possible that they don't spend the money when you don't call and spend some money when you call? And they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. I said, well, maybe that's what they're doing. And I've had that call literally hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Literally hundreds of times I've heard that. So I know this is commonplace stuff. And the only reason I bring it up is because SEO is important. It's really important for you to get your brand online. It's the best return, and you should work on it. Pay-per-click can be great if you have transparent billing like we do here at the Webmasters. Our fee's separate, and your card goes with Google. You know exactly how much it gets charged.
And it's less than $1,500.
Yeah, it is.
As of this recording.
Much less. Yeah. I don't think we'd ever do that. I couldn't do it. It's just I don't know how that became a thing, really. It snuck up in the last year or two.
Yeah.
I could ramble on, but I'm tired of talking, which
tired.
Doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't.
Jason likes to shank me when he can. But
Any chance I can.
Guys, we'd love to hear from you. We obviously do all this work for you. We do a lot of other stuff. We do a great job. I'm proud of the company these days. Man, it's been almost 10 years. Jason's been here for over half of it at this point.
Yeah, it'll be 6 years in January.
And we've grown a lot, by the way, since he's been around. He is the director of operations here and is integral to it. And the company just is getting shiny, isn't it?
On fire.
It is a shiny little company. We service hundreds of clients. We have dozens of great webmasters here. I don't know why you would call anybody else.
else.
Give us a call. We'd like to hear from you. Hope you enjoyed this one. It was a good one.
Take it easy.
We'll see you.